Warning: Alan and JJ Johnson are not professional comedians. During this program, you will be exposed to unfiltered dad jokes in their most potent and raw form, dads telling them to each other. Watching this video may lead to serious physical harm, including facepalm concussions, head-shaking whiplash, and uncontrollable groaning. Proceed at your own risk.
Hey everybody, I'm Alan.
And I'm JJ.
And this is Two Dads and a Joke. We're here to give you a six-pack, at least, of dad jokes and some shot of parenting advice. So, JJ, you know, I think when we start talking about our topics for today, dads do some silly things. And the other day, I sliced my finger cutting the cheese.
Ooh. How? Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I asked Edward Scissorhands to pull my finger.
Oh, come on, man.
That's all kinds of dad. That's as dad as it gets.
That is a dad. Okay. Hey, I got one for you. Okay, so it's November. We're in the hunting season now. All right. I'm not a big hunter,
all right.
But you know, a lot of people are. So here's a question for you. What do you call a dad duck that tells jokes?
What do you call a dead duck that tells jokes?
No, a dad duck. A dad duck.
A dad duck.
A dad duck. Well, you know, because
I don't know. What do you tell a dad duck that tells jokes?
A wise quacker. Oh.
A wise quacker. Wow.
We're on a roll tonight.
Wow. Yeah, wise quacker. Well, so speaking of ducks. So my new book that's out just this last week, Light of Mine.
Yes.
Did you know that a duck is the main character?
A duck? He's
yes,
the main character.
there is a duck as the main character. Well, sort of a side character. He's a sidekick.
Okay.
Comedy relief type.
Okay.
Character. His name's Daddy Duck, of all things.
Really?
So yes, he probably is quackers from time to time. We also have Sparkle Frog, who's a frog that hops in and solves problems for the kids.
Oh, no way.
And we have a kitten that has the mysterious ability to wake you up just in time to save you from the bad guys. So these are great characters in the story. So what are you working on, JJ?
That's awesome. I'm so excited about reading this and getting through it. It sounds like it's going to be a great story. So everybody should go pick it up right now. It's available on where? Amazon?
On Amazon.
On Amazon.
That's it.
All right, so go check it out, y'all. I am actually working on book 3 of the Iggy and Oz series. I have finished book 2, Iggy and Oz, The Soda Pop Wars is done. I am working on Iggy and Oz, The Living Snot, and that's book 3, and that's one I'm going to be working on all through the month of November. I'll be tweeting my updates from time to time, tweeting my jokes that Oz is telling, and all sorts of other stuff. So
Oz tells some great jokes. That's what I like about Iggy and Oz. I was cracking up at some of his obvious dad jokes that kids trying to tell.
Yes.
So, speaking of that, hey, my son was trying to give away his dead cell phone the other day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. You know what though? I had to make sure he was using truth in advertising. He had to let people know it was free of charge.
Okay, man. All right, so, hey, you know what? We're coming up on Thanksgiving here in a few weeks. One of my favorite holidays, is Thanksgiving. So I had a question for you. What do you call a turkey on the day after Thanksgiving?
What do you call a turkey on the day after Thanksgiving?
Lucky.
Lucky. Yes. Very good. I was out. Something about that good, right? Because they're, what's the future look like for a turkey? It's a tough thing at Thanksgiving time. I was personally feeling bad about the future today, but then I installed a new version of Office.
Really?
It improved my outlook. Now I got to give that one up to @DadSayJokes. on
Yes.
Facebook. They gave us that one. You know, I gotta call out my social media friends out there. Speaking of social media, we have this awesome thing called Follow Friday coming up in the month of November.
Yes,
And
we
so
do. Tell us about
We got an awesome promotion where people can get this, custom made. I'm going to show you a prototype here on the screen. This is a custom made Lego and action figure compatible weapons, like the weapons the kids are using in the cover of the book, and a physical copy of the book if you follow. And so how this contest is going to work is for every follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So we got 4 social medias. If you follow us on all 4, you'll be entered 4 times every week that you're a follower to possibly win. That is a great opportunity for you to win a custom set of Lego action figure weapons and physical copy of the book. There you go.
Nice. I love that cover, by the way. Can we talk about that cover real quick?
That cover is awesome. It was so cool. Magpie Designs did this, and it was amazing. And I had no idea it was going to turn out as cool as it is. But I had to turn it into a poster. I couldn't not do that because it's just so good. And it brings out everything about the story, and it really highlights the whole point that it's the kid's inner light that's shining that's gonna win the day, and that's where it came from. But yeah, I gotta really hand it out to Magpie Designs for their amazing work on the cover.
Absolutely.
So when we think about money, that's our topic for dad stuff this month. We were going to talk about giving to others. So when you brought that one up, JJ, where was your head? What were you thinking about?
Well, when you talk about giving, especially, you and I are both believers.
Yep.
You have 2 different theories. There's the strong theory that you always have to give 10%, and then there's the theory of just give what you can. And one of the things that I'll admit I struggle with, and the reason we bring these topics up is because they're things that we both struggle with from time to time. I struggle with giving, mainly because I'm cheap, and mainly because of the fact that it's hard to let go of something, and It's hard to sacrificially give. I tend to give more of my time than anything than I do finances, but part of the church is being able to give and function and to fund ministries. But it's not just giving there, it's also giving the charities and things like that. I give the United Way, it comes out of my paycheck, I never see it, so I give the United Way, I give this some other things. And so one of the things I think is very challenging to teach kids is how to properly just to give, and give joyously, to give with joy in a way that it helps others, it blesses others. And one of the ways I saw this past summer is my wife's sister and her husband adopted a young boy from Vietnam. He was 8 years old. He's lived in the orphanage his entire life, and they went over there and got him. Adoptions are expensive. They are very expensive, but we saw just people, and they paid a lot of it themselves, but there were people that were giving to them for the purpose of just to make sure that this kid could come over here and be a part of the family. And I've seen it time and time again, people get into financial situations. You see something on GoFundMe or whatever, and help a person out with medical bills or something like that. But when you do give, it feels good to give, and I think that's an important thing is that it feels good to give at times, and sometimes I don't think we recognize how exciting it can be to help somebody out who is in need necessarily. And that's one of the things I think it's you want to teach your kids, but it's a tough challenge to teach your kids, because by nature most children can be a little selfish. I mean, it's just the way it is, for kids. And as they grow up, they start to grow out of that selfishness a little bit, depending on where they're at in their stage of life. But we as adults also have to set the example. That's something I set a horrible example for my kids about, and something that I want to try and obviously change.
Well, I think on my side of it, it comes back to that whole margin thing, right? Like last week we talked about, if you're going to splurge out of margin. What one of my belief in the Bible is, it's very clear. Tithe was a 10% Old Testament kind of thing to set a number, right? And it set a number, and so if you use that as a starting point, right? And I realize that depending on your situation, that might be actually impossible, right? Yeah. Today, right? But I think, when we were struggling, we were a single income family. I was working for a state agency. We weren't making, with 2 kids, weren't really making any money. That was just, it felt impossible. But we always kept that as a marker to get to. Yeah. So one of the things that happened was, as those annual pay increases would come along, moving that margin number closer and closer to 10% was just something we were doing intentionally. Yeah. That even though we couldn't do that when we started, as God blessed us and increased for our family, then we increased what we did to where it wasn't. I mean, it's never comfortable to give away 10% of your income. Like, there's always things you could have done, right?
Right.
But the net of it is, by building that in, we have had so many opportunities to bless other people when they needed it. Right. Right. It's the kind of thing where, while I do believe that 10% was meant to go to your church to pay your pastors and the upkeep and all that kind of thing, there have been times where we just redirected it to someone who really needed it right then. Whether it was, and sometimes it's actually been complete strangers. We've had some strangers that we've dropped big money on that just needed it because we had it at the time, and God kind of put them in our place to help them. I think with kids, it really started early with us, where we kind of did I think it was Crown Financial Ministry had these banks with the giving, saving, and spending money, right? And so we tried to pay them in coins and separate things out. And we did that for a long time, until I traveled a bunch, and then it got really hard to do that kind of mechanical thing every week. But that's a good place to start with your kids, to know, here's my money that I earned from whatever I did, however I get my money as a kid. And now I'm gonna separate it this way. And so, they spend their Sundays taking that, giving money to church and dropping it in themselves. It has a whole different meaning than if you pull out a bill and hand it to them as the plate passes, right? So I think that's more than anything else, whether you can get to the number, 10% or whatever number makes sense in your interpretation. If you can get them in the habit of, I'm going to set aside something that I get, whatever I get. I'm going to set aside some of it for other people, and I'm going to set aside something for savings. I mean, my daughter's a huge saver, and she's in college now and still has a lot of money in savings. So's my older son. My younger son's just getting to dealing with money, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But the net of it is, it definitely was that practice young of, they're going to take some of their own money and they're going to give it away. And they've been able to, I mean, I remember the first time we'd ever taken our kid to a big city. We took him to Chicago. And I remember my little boy going up to a homeless person, not quite understanding that scenario, and handing money out to people as he was going down the street, because they seemed to need it more than he did. And so I think that's really the thing as parents is, obviously we got to balance that out and make sure things are safe and all that. But, the sooner you start, the sooner they can feel the fruit of helping other people.
Right. Absolutely.
So, speaking of money, though, JJ, did you know I had to buy a new furnace?
You did? That stinks. What happened?
Yeah, it was getting so cold in my house, I had hypothermia.
Come on, man. Hypothermia. All right. Well, we're coming up on Thanksgiving, and we've been talking about money, and God blesses us in so many different ways. But do you know what type of music the Pilgrims listen to on the first Thanksgiving?
I don't know what kind of music the Pilgrims listen to on the first Thanksgiving.
Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth Rock. I kind of want to do a Bill and Ted thing there, right?
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, that's what that was. But I can't say it. I can't say it the way they did. So
Yeah,
that's hard. Well, this has been Alan and
JJ.
And thanks for joining us on this episode of Two Dads and a Joke. We'll see you next time.
Later.